You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Doug Pederson walking off the field in Detroit. Was it for the last time as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Right now, no. And I'm starting to wonder if he'll be there against Houston on December 1st, I think is the date, after this bye week. And I just don't think it would be that surprising in my world to see that based on Shad in the past. But I also think the fan base is now trying to punch me in the face for saying that.
Well, take the fan base out of it. That was the worst game I ever watched yesterday. The worst. Take the Bills game out of it. That was the worst game I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was.
Do you agree or not?
Yeah, I mean, Austin, I got to be honest with you. I thought about this last night. I might do a top 10 of the worst games I've seen from Jacksonville. There's a lot. There's a lot on the list.
That would take you years.
No, well, I mean, I've been here 16 years. I've seen a lot of embarrassing losses. And I think you're right. I think this one was even worse than the Bills game. And I'm trying to avoid recency bias. But I really go back to 2013 where there was an excuse for it. You had ripped it up and you had a bad roster, and this is what it looked like. The Jags looked like 2013 where they just did not belong on the same field as an NFL team. They did not look like they were an NFL team. And I'm trying to be respectful to the players because I respect the players, you know.
I do as
really
well.
do.
Yeah.
But they did not look like they belonged on the same team. And you know what? I'll give credit to Detroit. I know Detroit's good, but Detroit ain't that good. They're not that good. They're not that good where they should make you look like a JV team where you shouldn't belong in the NFL. That's what it looked like.
I mean, you saw a team led by Dan Campbell that I think was a little embarrassed against Houston.
Yeah.
That they still won somehow, but they were embarrassed. And they came out with fire. And you could have easily said, if you're the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell, yeah, you know, we're playing Jacksonville. I mean, they are who they are. Let's go ahead and overlook them for, next week or the following. Like, you could have easily did that. They didn't overlook crap.
Oh,
like that was a statement game as far as I'm concerned for Jared Goff, for the running game. I mean, it was a statement game all around. And once again, I think it goes to show you when you have the culture put in place and when you have a leader in Dan Campbell, that the dude's challenging plays in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Costing my fantasy team a winning season. Nevertheless, it was just it was a tale of two teams. And obviously the Jaguars were on the worst side possible. And once again, yeah, I respect the players too, man. I was one. And I try to take the side of the players, 10 times out of 10. But when reports come out that, hey, maybe, it's not a for sure thing, but maybe your coach might be gone if you guys lose this game, I would like to think they'd go, hey, okay, well, let's try to rally around here. No one's picking us to win here. Let's prove the doubters wrong. And it was the opposite.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a good start, 3-0.
Yeah.
59-yard field goal. There's so many different ways to go, but let's start with the lead story. I mean, it's not should Doug Pederson get fired. I'm not going there. I get it, folks. I mean, I think he's going to be fired at the end of the year, so now it's just a matter of, is it this right now or is it later? And I've done this so many dang times, right, about why I think the trend says. I never think about the should. It's more, is it going to happen? And right now it hasn't happened. Didn't happen last night. There's still time on a bye week for Shad to make a move and try to get away from the emotional side of that frustrating loss and embarrassing loss. So I wouldn't say it won't happen today or tomorrow even. I think if you get by Tuesday and it hasn't happened, it's not happening. I think that's probably the latest that it would happen in a bye week. That's my guess. Remember, he did fire Urban Meyer on a Wednesday night, which was kind of weird in terms of the timing. But this one, you have all the evidence right in front of you. The right move today is probably to move on from Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson and start the real rebuild and reset of this football team once again. And you have, again, I'll say it, season ticket renewals on the horizon. You have things to sell. You have a product to sell. You have a fan base to appease. And you have a football team going backwards. Like, this is embarrassing. And this is historically bad. They just gave up 52 points, the most in team history. They lost by the most in team history. They gave up 645 yards, and it was gross, 645 yards. Last week, they had 143 yards of offense. That was the 5th worst in franchise history. This week, they have 170 yards of total offense. 3 weeks ago in the first half, they had 31 yards in the first half against the Eagles. It was the lowest in a half since the 1995 expansion Jaguars. This is year 3 of this build between Trent Baalke, Doug Pederson. This is year 3 in the same offensive system, and I know you don't have your quarterback, but guess what? You're not like depleted by injuries. You actually have a lot of your players that started the year out on the football field. I get the quarterback's a big deal, but you should still be able to function and look like a football team. I don't know what you hang your hat on if you're Doug Pederson and having a conversation with Shad Khan, or if you're Trent Baalke and you're having a conversation with Shad Khan today. I just don't know what you can sit here and say, yeah, but look, are you going back to the 1-6 against close games? I mean, come on. No, you're not.
Stop.
I mean, this is historically bad for a football team that was supposed to make history on the right side of things.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I hope. Well, once again, I don't like calling for people's jobs. I don't like watching people walk out the door and everything. I'm sure this fan base would want to see that. I've been there. It sucks. And I'm not even telling Shad Khan to listen to Jaguars Twitter, to listen to the fan base, or if you want to get into the fact of, okay, you got to play Houston at home next. What's the selling point there? A divisional opponent. And if you don't make a change, what are you going to say? Yeah, it'll be more of the same, but by all means, please come buy tickets. Like, take that even out of it. I'm just saying from an ego standpoint of being a billionaire, from being a businessman, how could you not make some sort of change? Because we've been asking this question now for what? The past 3-something weeks? And it's gotten worse.
Amazing.
So if you're a businessman, once again, take the fan base, take everything, just what you know about business, Shad. How can you not do something? What, you're just going to let the coaching staff, upper management just, lay in the bed they made for the next, 4, 5, 6 weeks? And that's going to really sock it to them? That's going to make them learn their lesson? No, like every single day, every single week that this keeps on happening, it just goes to show you, yeah, this is acceptable. And it's not. That game yesterday, and once again, the players can say whatever they want to me. That game was unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
That game was unacceptable on all counts.
It's the word that
punting game was great. Cool.
Yeah, it's a word that keeps coming back to me is unacceptable. Like that is unacceptable to look like that.
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't matter. Even if you were depleted by injuries, quite frankly, it wouldn't be acceptable to look like that. Yeah. I mean, it looked like at times I saw Darnell Savage flying around. Early on, I saw Trayvon Walker flying around, and I continued to see Ventrell Miller flying around. And outside of that, I don't know what player played well or close. I mean, outside of a Logan Cook, Daniel Thomas made a nice play on a punt coverage. Mm-hmm. That was a terrific play, really. And Cam Little had a big kick. Like, I mean, that's like you got 53 men on the roster, and you might be able to say 3 guys played okay. Mm-hmm. Like, okay. Mm-hmm. Nobody played well. And there's a look at the catastrophe of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, it's tough to watch, man. It is I've done this a long time now here, and I get very frustrated for the fans. I get frustrated from a pride standpoint. Listen, I'm a season ticket holder. My kids go, and my wife goes, and so I mean, I can feel with that. In this town that's had to go through so much of this stuff, it's just it's hard to watch. As much as I respect what the Lions have built, it was just really hard to watch it unfold that way. And then even watch the Dan Campbell give everybody a game ball at the end. Like, I honestly look at that game and I'm like, hey, I wouldn't get too high over that game, Lions. Like that was not like a real game, a testament of what you are. Like, yeah. I understand why you can celebrate success, but at the same time, it's like, don't get too high on your horse after that one now. The rest of the league ain't playing like that.
No,
the rest of the league,
you
better be able to bring it next week against Indianapolis because they ain't playing like that.
No, for sure. But at the same time, like, listen, I'm not going to question anything the Lions do anymore.
No, I mean, it's unbelievable, really.
I'm not going to question anything.
And they've made a couple of teams look silly this year.
No, they have.
They really have.
They have.
But that was beyond silly.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to question the Colts and their quarterback situation. I'm not even going to sleep on the Tennessee Titans anymore.
Oh, no.
Forget it, man. Like, this is... no, I mean, honestly, Hamby, at least there's like halfway competitive games. This is, I don't know.
So you feel like, so Shad, so there's 2 ways to go here, right? And I understand where you're at. I understand where the fan base is at. So knowing that and knowing where everybody is, if I put a poll out there right now, should they fire Doug Pederson, it would be 100%, right? And by the way, I think if you fire Doug Pederson, you fire Trent Baalke. I do think, I know Peterson has, he's got a lot in this, a lot. And I'll die on this vine. I don't think Doug Pederson's a bad football coach, but he obviously is trending in a bad direction and can't get the best out of this football team. And their offense is so bad. And he obviously isn't making the moves at an offensive side of things. Like this is not the play calling. Brent, you've been bringing this up. This is like, Doug, you brought it up in 2022 when you were hired. This is the example I used in Houston. You said if it wasn't working, you'd hand it off to somebody else. It ain't working with the guy you got. This is historically bad. Like, you better, who knows if he's calling plays. I didn't even want to go there yesterday to ask that question. But I did ask him yesterday, if you're still the coach, are you going to make changes? Like, it's time to fire Ryan Nielsen after 11 games.
Yeah.
I mean, see ya. And again, I'm not a guy that calls for people's jobs, but if we know he's not going to fire Press because he's loyal to him, I understand he's loyal to all his coaches. Like, what is Ryan Nielsen doing? Like, what was the plan yesterday to thwart an offense that's pretty good? I have no idea what they were even trying to do, Austin. You're a defensive guy. I mean, did you even sense that they were trying to do something? Like against Minnesota, they really rolled out a different plan, right? They had a plan, and this one they had no plan, it didn't look like, or if they did, it was long gone by 3 minutes in.
I think the interior got bullied in the run game.
I did. Holy cow.
I think, once again, not making excuses at all, but playing complimentary football on defense, like it didn't help when your offense is going three and out, short drives, then your defense is back out there again. It was just, I mean, it's, and listen, and I'm the one with a lot of egg on his face because I thought Ryan Nielsen was going to be the truth, I believed when he said that he would put players in their position, to be successful. And, I'm not going to mention about the defense that they have right now playing on the outside. I'm not going down that road again. I'm sick and tired of going down that road. If you're Shad Khan, like, I understand that Doug won't get rid of Press himself.
Yeah.
And if you do choose to keep Doug Pederson, here's what I'm saying. Something's got to change. Something.
You've been saying this for weeks, to your point.
Something. I'm not saying it's got to be Doug Pederson, no. Something, though. So then if you're Shad Khan and you go, okay, Doug, well, you won't get rid of Press Taylor, then I will.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what has to happen?
Yeah, I think you're right. That's where I was kind of going with it. I don't know if they're going to fire Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson today. They haven't done it yet. Maybe they will. If that doesn't happen, I think Doug has to make a move. I think he has to do something. And I don't know what that is, but something, to your point. Like right now, you've got to make a move. You can't walk in at 1:45 to your news conference today and be like, well, we obviously need a break. We get it. We're tired, all this stuff. We're going to try to take a look and fix things and blah, 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 and do all the stuff that you're supposed to say and do. Like, I don't think you can just do that again. Maybe you do if you're Doug because you're just kind of dead man walking, I guess, for another 6 games. I mean, we kind of know how it's going to end. And he's just going to stay loyal to his bunch, and there's some respect, I guess, for that. But I don't know to your point, I don't know if I can allow that if I'm Shad, right? Or even Trent. If Trent's still actively got some power in the organization, which I don't know if anybody does have power in the organization right now outside of Shad. I mean, why would they? I wouldn't be giving any power to anybody in that organization right now. Because I'm not believing anything that they do is the right move. But so then it does come down to Shad and to maybe force a move of some kind. And I don't think we've really seen that in the past. I don't remember that. I don't know how. I mean, if you go back to when Doug Marrone fired, who was it? Did he fire Hackett at one time, right? He eventually fired Hackett. I think Gus fired Jed Fish and stuff. Was that Dave Caldwell more than Shad? Who knows? But that's what you're talking about, right? I mean, somebody make a move. Coordinators get fired all the time when stuff goes bad. Heck, coordinators get fired when stuff's still not even that bad sometimes. Yeah. This is beyond bad.
Oh yeah, I mean you're kind of. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. You're the laughing stock right now of the NFL. You are. I don't enjoy saying it, but that's what it is, Brent. Like you can't put that. Like, did you watch? You probably didn't watch Did you watch a lot of ESPN and stuff after that? Okay, yeah,
no,
as you should.
I didn't want to watch any of that.
Yeah, the Jaguars they're in the dump right now. Simple as that. And like, let me ask you this: with Shad Khan, a very patient man, who gives him advice? Like, I know, like, we're talking, okay, well, in the future, let's get Tony Baselli, but I'm saying, like, right now, like, who's the guy that, like, Shad Khan's bouncing ideas off of? Who's the guy that, Shad Khan's like, hey, should we make a move? Or is it just Shad Khan? Is that it? Is it just the Khan family and they're making the shots here? Or is there somebody else that's like, hey, you might want to take a look at this?
I don't think there is one person. I think he gets his feedback. He meets every time after games. He was there yesterday in the locker room with Doug and Trent, and Tony's there, of course, Tony Khan. Mm-hmm. And, he's got feedback within the building between Mark Lamping and obviously the people in power with Pederson and Baalke, which, again, goes to our bigger picture, which an article is about to come out on actionnewsjacks.com, which will show you why that's not good enough. That's not alone. There needs to be more in Jacksonville. We'll get to that as we continue to discuss what's going to change over the next few weeks and going into 2025. But, I think he compiles the information. This is why every time there's a national report, Josina Anderson, Ian Rappaport, all the rest, and when they put this stuff out there, I'm like, you don't know. You don't know. We don't know. We don't know what Shad's going to do. I'm on the flight home yesterday. I'm on the bus ride home, and everybody's kind of wondering. Everybody thinks they know because most everybody else would say, hey, fire the coach, right?
Because we've seen this, because in the natural NFL of things, every other team would probably fire their coach by now.
Yeah.
That's
or
how
somebody,
it works.
Right?
Somebody.
Yeah.
Because that's how the NFL is supposed to work.
And so I don't think Shad's oblivious to that. I also I don't think he takes a cue from one particular person. Okay. And I respect that his circle is so tight that we don't know what he's going to do. I think that's actually, in this day and age, pretty unbelievable that we have no real inkling of what he's going to do today or tomorrow or beyond. So I don't have a great way to answer your question. I just know that, listen, you've got power brokers inside the organization, meaning Doug, Trent, and Mark Lamping, who are put in position to provide some of those answers and give you a pulse of things. And I think there is definitely that information gathered. Then it's about what you believe and how convicted you are. And listen, here's the other part of it, right? As mad as we are and everybody else is, because we live here, and thankfully we do, we get to talk about it. Shad doesn't live there, right? Shad's not on social media looking at all the reaction. Yeah. But I think the noise is loud enough to actually have an understanding and a knowledge of what's going on. He's got noise,
Brent, the scoreboard should be loud enough.
And the scoreboard should too, yeah.
Forget the noise.
But again, this comes down to the business side of it, where I think Mark Lamping becomes a big player in this. Like, what are you selling? What's the building like? What's going on inside those walls? Like, what's it like walking down the hallway? How close are these guys together? Like, the only thing that we have in terms of support of Doug Pederson specifically are the players. Mac Jones was very complimentary of Doug. I think Evan Ingram, Andre Sisco, he's like, I don't think change will do anything. We'll hear from some of those guys today. But I think that's the only thing that we really have to say, well, these guys still believe in their guy, but you know how that goes. You've been in locker rooms before. You stand by the guy that you went to war with for the last few months. And I think that's the only thing Doug has, is that he hasn't lost those guys. But to be honest with you, I don't know how important that is that he hasn't lost those guys, because they ain't playing very well. And they still have not played a good football game in the last calendar year, in my opinion. They have not played a good football game since you go all the way back to Tennessee and Houston of last November. They have played okay football games in that stretch, but they have not played a good football game. Like, we just saw the Lions play a brilliant and exquisite football game, which is hard to do in the NFL. They played almost perfect. Yeah. And I'm not even talking perfect for the Jags. I'm talking like a good quality football game to where you're like, that's what it's supposed to look like in Jacksonville. We haven't seen that since last November. So the evidence is really stacked up against Doug, which it's okay that the players believe, good for him, all that stuff, but it doesn't matter because you're not getting the play and the performance and the results. So their voice kind of goes mute to me, because you know that's what they're going to say.
No, that's what you do. And trust me, I've been on plenty of losing teams that, the coach, there was rumors and everything, and you still wanted to play for him. But in the post game, in the locker room, you can say, yeah, we still believe in Doug and everything. And that's fine. I get it as a player. But as anybody with eyes, I'm going to say, well, you guys aren't playing like it. When you lose 52-6, and yeah, I get the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL. That's great. It's not supposed to look like that. And it's not supposed to be like that. So you can go ahead and say all these words of we still buy into Doug and everything, but your performance on the field shows that maybe you don't.
I tell you, what bothered me more than there were 2 plays in this football game that bothered me more than anything else. And there were a lot of things that could have bothered you in this football game. It was early. I think it was a late first quarter, probably on one of those drives where it went 7-14. Maybe it was the 21 one, somewhere in there. First half for sure. And I remember I tweeted about it. And it's hard to tweet about it because it's really hard to describe. But you guys who watch, and I'm sure you watched, you'll know this. Montgomery gets a handoff. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, the offensive line was 8 yards downfield.
Ledbetter made the tackle facing the line of scrimmage. It wasn't a trail tackle. Right? Obviously, if a defensive lineman makes the tackle at 8 yards, he's facing
his back should be turned.
But he was still being blocked.
Sewell ran him 8 yards.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him, by the way. That's my point. It was a caravan of offensive linemen. So much so that what I noticed is you know how a running play is. I mean, usually there's traffic, right? I mean, there's a lot going on, and then a guy makes a nice move or a lane opens up. I mean, we're talking like lanes like this. Like, how do you wiggle through there? There wasn't, in front of this caravan, Montgomery is almost slowing down to follow the caravan because all there is turf around him for like 2 yards in every direction at a minimum.
Yep.
On this 8 to 9 to 10 yard run for the first 4, 5, 6 yards of it.
Yeah.
And then obviously the rugby scrum ends up kind of piling them up and bringing them down. The next play, almost the same thing. Not as bad, but almost the same thing. And this wasn't like the third or fourth quarter when you've been on the field for a long time. This was relatively early in the football game. And I was like, holy cow. That's where, and again, I try to be respectful, and I know this isn't respectful when you say varsity JV, but that's what it looked like. That play looked like it. Like, I think I'm in line saying that because of that play alone. They got a good offensive line. Guess what? You're supposed to have a good front.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to have a good front. You're invested in that front like hundreds of millions of dollars in draft picks. And you are 8 yards downfield with a running back that's like battling air more than he is battling defensive players. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch that play. It was the play that bothered me more than anything else.
I mean, a lot of those runs bothered me, Brent, because even when you look at you had him dead to rights, Montgomery would break 3 tackles and still get a first down.
A lot of missed tackles.
And listen, to quote Joe Cullen, stopping the passer, rushing the passer takes skill and takes technique. Stopping the run, it's a mindset and it's an attitude. Simple as that. That's been ingrained because you said every single practice, he would say it every single game. He would say, I can find any bum on the street to stop the run because with my attitude and your attitude, we're going to get the job done. And yesterday, you saw one team, the Detroit Lions, with attitude because once again, that's their identity. That's who they are. I mean, watch any Lions game. They're going to try to run the ball down your throat. And you have another team, the Jaguars, where it's a roller coaster, and they finally, went to the depths of hell, it seemed like yesterday, in terms of what the defense was showing.
I will say this, and I know this is not an excuse, okay? I just want this is my observation. And I said this multiple times. I even brought it up in the post game, and I think Doug said it too. And I do think this was a fatigued defense. I asked you this last week.
Yeah, you did.
I said, if you want it.
I said, this is a defense that's been on the field for a lot in the last couple of weeks. And I asked you, I was like, because I know you get rest and I know we'll take care of them and you get practice, but that's a cumulative thing in this sport. You're also 11 weeks into the season. And I think the cumulative nature of this, and really just another place where Doug has maybe gone wrong, is how everybody talks about how, and again, take it with a grain of salt, in this day and age, he has a hard camp. He has a hard training camp. And he has hard practices overall, long practices. I think has Doug made a mistake in some of that. Because are these guys fresh enough this late in the season? Did he make a mistake not getting the London bye week and moving it all the way back? Because you have a choice in that part, right? You can take the bye week coming off London. Well, after a long training camp and now 11 games of the season, this is what you get. I brought up last week. Remember last year, they got blitzed by San Francisco. Now, San Francisco was better than them, but it turns out Jags were 8-3 in that season last year. This is in the middle of that. November 12th of last year, they got beat 34-3, manhandled by a team coming from the West Coast playing at 10 in the morning, losing 3 straight games. They got manhandled out here in Jacksonville. Well, on November 17th of this year, they got manhandled once again. So I think, if Doug's looking at himself, it's like maybe my methodology of how the length of this season, what I'm putting these guys through is really beating these guys up to this point. And then you add on top of it the 42 minutes on the field against the Vikings, the 38 minutes in a physical game against the Eagles. They broke. I mean, they broke. Mm-hmm. And so some of that's the Lions. I think some of that's the Jags. Some of that's effort. Some of that's scheme. Some of that's also fatigue. And here's Doug Pederson talking about a team that needs a break, and quite frankly, so do we.
I feel like it's been a long season, 11 games. 2 weeks in London, obviously, and travel and whatnot. I did, and I do, and I think, the guys need a break, right? But I'm sure if you ask them, they probably feel tired, right? They feel drained a little bit, and they need to refresh and get ready to go.
Yeah, and again, I want to be careful here. To me, that's just my observation of what transpired on top of the embarrassment. I'm not telling you that's an excuse. I think this is more on. This goes back to me, the plan. And I'm big on that this year, Austin. I don't think I've ever really talked about that. But we saw what the plan was when the Jags came off this season of losing 5-6 and collapsed. And they kept it together, and they started to build it back up, and they signed players. And we saw what the Jags were doing. Easy to buy into it in August, right? I mean, we were all there. You could sell that. We could buy into it. We saw some of the logic there. But the plan is wrong. The plan went awry. The plan to add weight. The plan to use Eric Armstead the way they're doing it. The plan to do a lot of different things this season. The plan to maybe condition the way Doug's doing it. I mean, Doug's offensive plan, the play calling plan, this goes back to a bigger picture. This has been a problem since March that we could only see coming once they played 11 football games, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Brent. Are they practicing too hard? Are they tired? I mean, I don't know. I'm not at practice enough to know if they're exhausted because Doug Pederson's running like the Junction Boys from back in the day at practice. I do know that when your offense keeps going 3 and out every single game, that ain't helping your defense out. I do know that. So, I mean, I think it's definitely a combination of things because you've alluded to this. In terms of injuries, there hasn't been a lot. Okay, you missed your starting quarterback. Okay, cool. Find a way to keep it competitive. Set your backup quarterback up for success, right? And that's we can get into that later too. I don't think Mac Jones is the guy. I think we saw enough from him now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever it was, a 6th-round pick, so we're not losing sleep about that. But I don't think Mac Jones is the guy because he had a chance to make some money yesterday against a pretty talented Lions team, and I think he lost some money. So that stock's down. All I know is, Brent, in terms of the defense looking tired, yeah, I don't blame them because when you can't, number one, stop a drive, but then number two, your offense can't, sustain a drive for longer than it seems like a minute. It's a recipe for fatigue. It's a recipe for disaster.
It's been a recipe for disaster, and it's unfixable. And the other part of the unfixable part is there's too much to fix. There's just too much to fix. I don't even know where to begin. I really don't even know where to start if I were trying to fix this football team. And now to add to the plan that's gone bad, Gabe Davis, meniscus tear. Did they say he's out for the year? He's going to have surgery?
They're still assessing the injury, but Davis is expected to have surgery. During the procedure, doctors will determine if it's a full repair or just a trim.
I mean, what a lost season for that guy, right? I mean, just no impact. Zero impact on this football team. 0 by his number, no impact.
I say he's going to be like a younger Zay Jones. Not yet.
I mean, Armstead and Gabe Davis, a lot of money there. A lot of money. We're talking $25 million plus, I think, for those guys, right? Mm-hmm. For just an annual, and nothing. Really nothing. So that's part of the plan. Has gone awry here in Jacksonville. All right, we'll hear from Doug and some of the other players, and we'll keep our eye on it. And we're not done talking about it, but we do have to take a break. So we'll get some of your thoughts. I know you got a lot of them. What is going to transpire? What's the benefit of doing it now versus later? And I think there is one. Okay, I don't always believe there is one. I kind of buy some of the logic. I've said that about the Jets. Look at the Jets. They're a worse football team once they fired Saleh. Okay, that didn't work. Now, you look at the Saints. They've won 2 in a row since they fired Dennis Allen. Like, that's helped.
Yeah.
Okay? But I don't even think it's a win versus loss type of thing right now on why the Jags should move now. And I'll tell you why some of that, and I'd like to get your thoughts, Austin, on why some of that. Man, what a miserable Monday, although the field looks beautiful. And it's a nice day. We got off the plane late last night. It's like, hey, at least the weather's good around here.
How's the weather in Detroit?
Actually, it was kind of nice, like 50 degrees, 48, kind of. That's a nice chill, but not crazy. Stadium was rocking, man. They got a vibe going.
They do.
And good for them. Good for them. They built it. And again, I have an article coming out on actionnewsjax.com. The Jags should want to be like Detroit, but it didn't just start now. It should have been, it's like they want to be like Detroit going back all the way to 2020. And that's when they fired guys and started to make this pivot in their organization and some of the guys they hired. And the Jaguars should do it. And Jaguars could do it. And they could start to put what I call the Motor City plan in motion as soon as today, quite frankly, if you're Shad Khan. We'll be back on the Action Sports 24/7 network. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade.
The vibes will stay high on the campus of the University of North Florida this week as that PK match winner from Joaquin Acuna sealed the Ospreys ASUN Tournament Championship crown, their second tournament title in school history and the first since 2015. However, the ride will not end there for the Ospreys as they now await an NCAA championship tournament bid, which they will find out later this week. And as one ASUN championship bid ends in success, another will get started this week for the Ospreys, this time in volleyball. The UNF women's volleyball team secured the 6th seed in their 11th straight ASUN tournament bid, and they will now travel to Fort Myers to face 3rd-seeded Central Arkansas on Thursday. And remember, you can find schedules, results, tickets, and more at unfospreys.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us. And at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back on a Monday, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend outside of Sunday afternoon for a few hours. Weather was fantastic. High school football playoffs in the books. College football, we got Gator fans, have a little Gator fever finally for the first time in years.
Treat yourself.
Little momentum.
Treat yourself.
How about that? All of a sudden, Billy Napier built him a statue.
Oh, boy.
We got Tremel Jones flipping from Florida State to Florida to go sit behind Lagway.
Yeah.
And people think me thinking that's weird is also weird.
Watch the game, Brent.
Watch the game.
That's what that guy said.
Is that what he said to me?
Yeah. You said, I'll try that.
Oh, yeah, I think I did. That's right. I did say it. I could be a little feisty last night, too, after being pissed off watching that thing for 3 hours. All right.
Well, what's up, Brent? You met some people last night?
I mean, just Twitter being Twitter.
I got you.
It's so funny. It's like the Tremel Jones thing's a kind of interesting. He's a Mandarin quarterback, and he was Florida State for a while. And he actually denied that he was going to decommit just last week.
Huh. And
then a day later decommits and then goes to Florida, which there were rumors that he was going to do that. Mm-hmm. And he ends up doing it. And it's like, hey, that's cool. Like, what people don't know, I just thought it was kind of weird because, I mean, you could go play at Florida State like right now in this week's game.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And, like this week's game, you could go play. I'm not telling you to be good enough, but you could go play. They need somebody.
Get him in there.
So it's like, okay, if you're a kid, it's always weird to me that because all they want to do is play.
Right.
So I appreciate that, okay, he thinks he's going to get better tutelage. Maybe he wants to play in the swamp, all that stuff. Like, I get that. But to go sign up to go sit for a couple years is unusual this day and age.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Most people transfer if they find out they're going to sit.
True.
So we'll get into that a little bit more, but that was really where I was coming from. And Gator fans are now like, why wouldn't you want to be here and on the bench and sit down? I mean, it's freaking Florida. Yeah, you're 5-5. Great.
Forgot a lot about that Texas game 2 weeks ago, didn't we? That Texas game's an afterthought.
But anyway, it's good. Listen, I'm not a Florida guy. I'm not a Florida State guy. I'm not a Georgia guy. I'm not any guy. But it's nice that Florida's finally found a little momentum. I do like that. Yeah. So that's coming out of the weekend. Hey, we got UNF Hoops tonight against UNC Asheville tonight at 7 o'clock at the arena.
Save us, Coach Driscoll. Save us.
Coach.
Give us hope,
UNF,
please.
I feel like UNF has saved us here in Jacksonville the last couple of weeks between basketball. And they got an A-Sun championship in soccer the other night on penalty kicks. That looked like a fun game.
Nice.
So the Icemen won a couple of times this weekend, so it ain't all bad.
Yeah. Getting that Brent Austin bump, maybe give us some luck. Now, the hockey one that we were at didn't go. Right. Yeah, but hey, now they're on the up.
Was when we left.
They're on the up now. Exactly. Soccer team wins. Let's go, Brent.
So we got all that going for us here in Jacksonville.
If you want to watch good football, come to my flag football game tonight.
Oh, that's right. We got that tonight.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that report tomorrow. Are you
setting them up? Okay, Hamby.
Yeah, I know it.
Set yourself up here a little bit.
Hamby, can you get a 2nd and 1 and 3rd and 1?
Push.
Anything. Just get a first down.
Center ISO.
Center
ISO.
What happens when your center goes out for the play? Do you still run behind him?
Oh no.
I mean, what the hell?
I know, man.
What was an eye? Morse?
Yeah. By the way, his eye, he got dinged up because I saw him in the locker room after. I mean, that thing is not pretty. He looked like he was in the Tyson Jake Paul.
So is it like a black eye, or was it like actually like the eye scratched? Like if you saw it,
it felt like to me, again, I mean, it looked like to me more of something scratched, and then you got, I don't know what you would call that. You used to getting hit. It wasn't necessarily black and blue yet. Maybe it will be, but it was like, there you go.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that from the actual eyeball or underneath?
No, I think that's just underneath. It's a cut. But I mean, not to say like I'm not sure. It was a finger, obviously, right?
It had to be. It had to be.
Yeah. So I mean, it looked like a cut underneath the eye, but it doesn't mean like the eye itself's not damaged either.
By the way, doesn't he look like he's looking through my soul every time that I interview him? I mean, look at that face right there.
Yeah, man.
He's actually a really good dude.
Yeah.
He's a positive part of this year overall, I think, for the Jags.
He's one of the pieces where you can say like, hey, man, we're going to need you for a couple years here.
Yeah,
and I know you're kind of up there in age, but we need you.
Yeah, I think they need him. I think they need guys like that. Brent Martineau Austen Lane back here on a Monday. And listen, this thing is just, it's it is hard to believe. It's hard to believe it's this. Like, it's...
AI was right, Brent. Remember when AI said the Jaguars might win like 4 or 5 games and we all laughed?
Is that what they said?
Remember? Yeah, we did the whole segment and we all laughed, Brent. We have to go back on that segment because we laughed. AI's stupid.
Listen,
AI's taking over.
National people will sometimes have like a broader look at this and be like, well, listen, you guys think they're going to be better than they are.
Sure.
And that's happened before because we get sucked up in it, and I'm a positive guy anyway, so like I'm not going to believe that. But not even the national guys would have thought this.
No.
Not even the national guys. Not even the most negative Jags fans would sit there and say, like, not only are you 2-9 and you just got pasted against the Lions.
I like that.
I like
verb.
that. Yeah, I haven't heard that one
nice.
before. Pasted.
But now you are sincerely the front runner for the number 1 pick because you look like the worst team in the NFL.
Sole
like
possession.
It's not just because you kind of landed in that spot because of your schedule the last few weeks and you didn't win close games and you'd be like, wow, they're still going to do this, they're still going to do that. No, they look like the worst football team in the National Football League. Like, that is it, unequivocally. Give me a team that's even close. If the Jets score 25 points or 27 points or whatever and they lose, the Carolina Panthers are playing better. The Saints are playing better. I mean,
Titans are bad, but like once again,
the Titans have a defense that can hold them in games.
Yeah.
They have one of the best defenses in the league. Calvin Ridley's playing good football right now for them. They throw a 98-yard touchdown with Will Levis to whoever. Like,
yeah.
Westbrook Akina.
It was, yeah.
I mean, no, the Jags are the worst football team. Not only by record and by where they pick, but by look. They got nothing to go. They just gave up record franchise kind of stuff over the last 3 weeks on both sides of the ball.
And when they say, hey, we're going to listen to everybody and get our best player on offense, the football, hey, we got you guys. Here's a 4-yard end around, and we'll hear from them. Maybe go back to them in a quarter or two.
I didn't mind the end around, though. At least they did it.
At least they did it.
But it also shows that you can do it. Why does it take until the 4-minute mark against the Vikings?
Hey, relax. You wouldn't get it. Relax.
Or how about 13 seconds left of the half? Oh, yeah, you want more creativity? Let's line up Mac outside and do a little direct pass straight to ETN.
What was that play? Brent, what was that play?
With 13 seconds.
Like, we don't even care about the game anymore
Brent,
because
take it
you're
easy,
getting
your heart.
blasted. So we don't even ask about these plays. What the hell was that play?
Press, you
no,
should
seriously,
answer that
what was that
immediately.
play? Did something go wrong on that play?
No.
And I know I could have asked this, but we're asking about a lot of other stuff.
Oh, dude,
I wouldn't get to that.
Brent,
what was that
First
play?
of all, yeah, I have no idea. Do you know, I had my popcorn, I had my nachos set up for the press conference. I thought something was going down.
I know, you guys had way too high expectations.
What do you mean too high expectations? What do you mean?
What did you think was going to go on?
This has been the greatest saga of the season so far. This has been the greatest battle between you and Doug Pederson.
I know,
because it hasn't happened on the field.
But you knew Doug was going to be well behaved at the news conference.
Oh, I beg to differ, Brent. I thought of all press conferences, this one might be the one where he just kind of says what he feels.
Just disappointed.
Well,
yeah, it was.
Listen, he started thinking about the press conference at halftime.
You thought the Jake Paul fight was a little disappointing, man. That press conference yesterday.
I knew it was going to be a letdown for all of you.
Nah.
You guys were pumping this thing up.
It was a little tweet. It wasn't a big deal.
You weren't the only one.
Okay, I got
my
you.
mentions about these freaking press conferences are just out of control.
Brent, speaking about the national media, we have another one from Deanna Rossini. As we wait to find out what the Jaguars do next, keep in mind Bill Belichick wants to be a head coach again, and the Jaguars should be viewed as a potential destination. I'm told it's highly unlikely that a partnership with GM Trent Baalke would take place per sources.
I mean,
What is the deal with this?
I mean, it could rain today if there's clouds. It might not, though. We'll see. Like, something.
It's like
just words.
every national
Elon,
is
shut
try-
it down. It's just word. It's fake news. It's you're not saying anything.
is trying to take a bite out of this pie.
Didn't say anything.
Guys, I will get to that in a moment. I just still got to go back to that play because you guys brought it up. Like, I can't get over the play.
I'm so
like,
over it.
what was supposed to happen on that play? I don't think there were 13. I think it was like 21 seconds. And they still had one timeout or something like that. But they were at the 20-something yard line. What were they trying to do? Like, was it a busted play? Do you think it was a busted play?
How could it have been a busted
I don't think it was a
play?
busted play, Brent.
Well,
Yeah.
was he supposed to pitch it to Mack and he was going to throw it? Is my point.
Mack
Why would
never
you run?
came- no.
Mack came around. He came
came
back
around.
toward like
Did he?
Yeah, on the snap. Like they passed each other.
See,
But-
I thought when I saw it, it was like an option where he had the ability to pass it
To
or
give it
like to
back?
pitch it to Mac and then Mac does something. Or I guess if you feel like it's wide open, then you take it and roll with it. That's what I thought.
I mean, there was another play. I forget the tricky kind of play. It wasn't like a true trick play, but earlier it went for a yard.
Yeah.
It went for a yard. Like Press Taylor, if he's calling plays, Doug
Well,
Pederson,
yeah, I don't
he
know.
is so lost.
'Cause-
And I have not been all over Press Taylor. Like I really haven't. He's lost. He doesn't know what to call. Ryan Nielsen doesn't know what to call. They don't know what to do. They are so lost because every time they try to plug something or they're fishing for something or they're reading articles too much or they're listening to shows too much. And I mean, they're listening when every press conference question is about Brian Thomas Jr. and the first play they do is hand off to Brian Thomas Jr. But by the way, you don't have to let it get there.
No.
You went for 2 games not giving that young man the football.
You got to have some awareness.
Like, that's a problem. That means you are just... I'll go back to the end of the game against Philly. You freaked out as coaching staff. You didn't think it through. You were hustling and trying to rally, and then you could slow the game down with 1:42 to go, and you freaked out. And you throw it on first down, and you put Trevor Lawrence in a position to even make the throw that he made. And ever since then, and by the way, probably before, but it's jumped out to me there that you freaked out as a coaching staff. You guys didn't settle down. You didn't know what you had. You know that guy can make that play in situational awareness. Why even put him in that spot? You could run the football there. And now you're running the football with 20 seconds to go, down 28-6 at the end of the half?
Yeah.
Instead of going to the end zone and just, let's see if we can score?
All right, so Mac lined up in shotgun, then motioned out. Etienne steps up. Mac at the snap goes back. Etienne kind of fake tosses it to him and just runs for a yard.
Yeah, I think it was an option. That's what I would say.
Okay. So maybe it was, I mean, even, whatever. I'm over it now, but you guys brought it
listen,
up. That was your fault.
No, that was Hamby's fault.
I
didn't bring
forgot
it up.
about that.
I'm sorry.
I forgot about it too. But
That was the worst.
also, like, if it was truly an option, though, you're gonna give an option, like you're gonna give like an RPO to.
Mac Jones rolling left.
You're gonna give an RPO to your running back.
Can you paint that play this week?
I'm screenshotting
Because
it now.
I want to see who was open down the field.
Not
If
a
you did,
soul.
If you did, by the way, nobody was open the whole day.
I'm not gonna rely, with all due respect to our sponsor. I thought I was gonna come in here and say, hey, I'm not gonna paint your play. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna break down a punt. Okay, so I'm not doing it.
Daniel
But if
Thomas
that's
punt coverage was good.
But if that's what you guys want, that's what you guys will get. Yeah, we can break down the RPO for Etienne.
Guys on the left sided were run blocking. Brian Thomas was run blocking.
So there's nobody downfield.
No.
So then that was okay. Brent, hey man, welcome. Also, Hamby, Brent, you didn't see this. Hamby, did you notice? So I'll be honest, I'm not sure who's calling the plays now, because they showed on the sidelines a couple of times where like Doug would have his glasses and like have like the thing in front of his face and he'd be talking, but at the same time, then Press Taylor was talking as well. Like they were by each other. Yeah. It almost seemed like there was like one person that was like purveying, you know, like in college they used to have like the clip things, the clipboards.
Oh yeah.
They used to hold them up and like one was like the dummy board, one was actually the real board. That's what it looked like. I was watching, where both guys at the same time were talking. Now, I pray to God that wasn't the case where Mac Jones is hearing two voices in his head at the same time. I hope that wasn't the case. But I thought it was a little peculiar. Like, okay, yeah, Doug talking here for the play, but then also you have Press Taylor talking at the exact same time.
Well, we might need a third person translating whatever the hell they're trying to do on offense right now. I mean, because it's just gone. Okay, as for the Florio thing, right? The Belichick thing. I mean, listen, Baalke's not going to be here. Like,
it's done.
It's done.
It's over.
It's over. It has to be over. And Belichick going to come join Baalke? Like, what are we doing?
It's not.
Why is Florio? Shut up. Seriously. What are we doing? The 1998 to 1999 relationship?
Yes.
We're pulling out a 25-year-old relationship?
We're going to war.
With Belichick?
We're going to war with the Nationals. Let's go, Brent.
The national people drive me nuts on this stuff.
No, I mean,
they drive me freaking crazy.
Truth be told, they kind of drive me crazy, too. Because they're not reporting anything.
I got Josina Anderson didn't like it when I said it to her.
Oh, what'd you say?
Well, I said nobody knows what Shad's going to. Well, so what she did, she tweeted out Friday, the ultimate hedge. It was like, we talked about this and this. Yeah. It's like, and then Rappaport comes out, and obviously Rappaport's more well respected, I guess you would say. Like, it's like if Rappaport says it, it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
And Josina Anderson, by the way, is fine. Like, listen, I respect these folks for doing what they do. I'm just saying
That's cool.
it is, right?
Yeah.
And so then she tweets yesterday, like, well, this is on top of Rappaport's report, she's like, well, this is what I was talking about the other day, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like, I had it first.
Sure.
I'm like, well, you had nothing. You guys are saying nothing. And so I said, you don't know Shad. I wasn't really talking to her. I just said, nobody knows what Shad's going to do.
True.
She took it kind of personal, I guess, like at her, and she's like,
oh, did she clap back?
That's why I said, notice the pending is what she said. I was like, everything you write is pending.
That's the thing. That's like, a J. Cole diss trying to get out of it. That ain't nothing, Brent. I
wasn't about that. It's just like, but
I thought we were getting ready to write like some diss track. I thought we were getting ready to go Kendrick on somebody. Not yet. I like it, Brent. I like it.
But again, the Florio thing, like, what is that?
Gosh, Brent, it's how the national media works, man.
I totally think Florio. Or I should say Pro Football Talk. I don't think everything should be associated with Florio. Well, that one actually was him, right? That was his report. But I think he just trolls the Jags. Jags are all over Florio all the time, Jags fans.
I'm going to talk some smack.
So
I'm intrigued now.
But what do you make? I mean, are we really going to give credence to this Belichick stuff? And what do you say the latest one was? Diana Rossini, what'd she say?
Shoot, I missed.
I got it. As we wait to find out what the Jaguars do next, keep in mind, Bill Belichick wants to be a head coach again, and the Jaguars should be viewed as a potential destination. I'm told it's highly unlikely that a partnership with GM Trent Baalke would take place, per sources.
Okay.
Name them.
Can we just put out one right now, be like, interesting stuff in Dallas. They might need a head coach, and Ben Johnson could be linked. One to keep an eye on. Brent Austen had it first. No, we're the sources, Hamby. There's no sources. We are the sources.
I will say that I'm going to tell you this right now, my thought process on, first of all, do you guys think Belichick could be in play here?
No.
No, not do you want him to be in play. Do you think he could be in play here? And the answer to that is absolutely yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely yes. It's not even it's not no. Okay? Again, whether you want it to happen, think it should happen, that's one thing. But absolutely in play. First of all, I will tell you this about the cycle. There's Ben Johnson, there's Mike Vrabel, there's who else? Who else? I mean, Belichick. I mean, who else? Like, there's not 8 hot names, guys.
Glenn.
Okay.
No, I mean, I get it.
Okay.
I get it. That's one.
But, like, I'll go Vrabel before I'll go Glenn, to be honest, because he's done it before, and there's a track record.
And listen, I'm the biggest Glenn fan here, but, yeah, I would go Vrabel.
So there's not a lot, is my point. If you become the 4th or 5th option, I don't think the Jags will be. This is going to be a way shinier job than anybody wants to admit, and the social media and nationally and everything else compared to the other ones. Giants can be a mess. The Raiders can be a mess. Other teams can be a mess. The Jags do have Trevor Lawrence, and that's going to be a good selling point for especially an offensive guy and probably a defensive guy.
Yeah.
But Belichick, I think that's a separate conversation. Well, no, it's not a separate one. But the Baalke thing to Belichick is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Unless Trent's taken a demotion and he's just going to be like head college scout.
But don't you think, like, if Belichick agrees to come here,
long arms,
he's doing his own thing, man. I'm going to bow down to No.
He is the GM.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the prop. That's where I'm afraid Shad will make a mistake here. Because while I could see some of the sense of Belichick, and you're like, okay, let's just go win. We need to win again now. Like, we're not waiting. That was kind of the Tom stuff, right? And it worked for one right away, but it's not a sustainable answer. Like, Belichick's not a sustainable answer. And what you do is you give power to one guy like you did with Urban, and that's a problem. Like, that's problematic. The Patriots, I think, hid that because they were so successful. You don't know if you're going to be successful with this. That just opens more problems. You need more than that. This has got to be a longer-term plan, a relationship plan. Bill Belichick ain't a relationship guy, not in and outside the building. He doesn't understand Jacksonville. He doesn't understand the business side of things here. He doesn't understand what's going on here. He might be able to win you a couple football games, and you know what he is. You do get identity with Belichick, a little bit like that stuff. But, man, can you imagine if they have an opportunity to pick Ben Johnson, and they have opportunity to pick Belichick, and they go Belichick, and Ben Johnson becomes the coach of the Raiders or the Giants and goes on, and now they're good. Holy cow, don't make that mistake. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
If Ben Johnson doesn't want to come here and he stays in Detroit, or somebody else is going to go and you can't get him, well, then Belichick becomes a little bit more appetizing, I guess. I still don't think internally that's the way to do it. But, I mean, we're way ahead of this, but the Belichick stuff keeps coming up. The Belichick stuff will not come up. It's been coming up for months. It does make some sense. Shad, the Khans, they do have respect for the Patriots organization. They've had relationships with the Patriots organization. Part of the reason Doug Marrone got the job here in Jacksonville was not only Tom Coughlin, but Bill Belichick called Shad Khan and the Khans and said, hey, I'll endorse this guy, right? Like, that's part of the connection between Marrone even getting the job here. So, like, that's real. McDaniels almost got the job here until he wanted to rip everything up, and Shad's like, no, we don't need to do that. And he was right. They didn't need to rip it up. McDaniels was wrong. McDaniels has been wrong a couple of times as a coach in the NFL, right? So, listen, we're going to talk more about this whenever the time is right and whenever the time comes, but this Belichick stuff, I think, can be real. The Belichick and Baalke stuff is absolutely asinine.
Yeah, stupid. Listen, because I spent a lot of time thinking about this yesterday. The more that I look at how this team is constructed right now and what this team needs, there's a part of me, like, I get Ben Johnson right now is the hottest name in the coaching realm to be the next head coach of whatever team, but it does scare me because I don't think, and this is going to sound bad because of Trevor Lawrence or anything, but I don't think this team needs an offensive-minded coach right now. Like, I don't think this team needs an offensive coordinator that's going to be a head coach because I feel like those teams, when you bring that guy in, they're already established. They have the pieces in place to be successful. Like I always say with Andy Reid. Yes, Andy Reid's a fantastic coach. But you know what? He came to Kansas City, and there was a lot of great players there already. There's a great locker room already put into place. I think like an Andy Reid system, I think an offensive coordinator mindset, I think you need to go to a place that already has the players in place to be successful. I don't see that in Jacksonville right now. Like, I see this team needing a complete overhaul, needing a culture rebuild. And traditionally, and I'm not saying it's 10 out of 10, but traditionally, if you need that, then you need more of like the defensive coordinator type, like a Mike Vrabel, like a Bill Belichick, somebody like that.
Yeah, and I think that's reasonable. I think that's a good point. I have this concern about Ben Johnson. I think he's an excellent play caller. I think he's really found a groove. What he's done with Jared Goff, I sign up for that, and I'd risk the fact that I don't know he's a good head coach. But I don't know if he's a good head coach. He ain't Dan Campbell. You're not going to look at Ben Johnson and be like, bite kneecaps, right? You're not going to get that. So you have got to create that with other things in your organization. Ben Johnson maybe can help create that. I don't think he's going to stand alone and create that. You do have guys like Vrabel and Belichick and like the Campbell guys that will do that by themselves with who they are, their personality,
correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't see Ben Johnson that way, but maybe I just don't know enough about Ben Johnson, too, as we look ahead. Let's take a timeout. We come back. I want to hear from Doug Pederson about his job status. Again, he talks at 1:45 today. That is still scheduled and on, at least last I checked. I got to look up some things, but I believe that's still the case. Man, there's so much to get to. But I do want to get some reaction from the locker room. So we'll get to what these guys are saying and why they haven't necessarily given up on Doug and this coaching staff, which is not abnormal. But I also thought some of the stuff that these guys said was measured. This was on the verge of, I want to punch a wall yesterday in the locker. First time I felt it. First time I felt it. Is that good? Is that bad? What does it mean? We'll get into it. Jags Report live tonight. I think we were originally scheduled to have Trayvon Walker. And I basically said, hey, we might want to push Trayvon Walker down to like a couple months later or 6 weeks later because we're going to be doing a lot of yelling and screaming tonight on the show. So I don't know the latest on that, but I'm trying to protect
the
Trayvon.
best therapist in Jacksonville making an appearance tonight. Live from Strings.
So I don't know if we get
Dr. Phil? We get Dr. Phil?
Yeah, we could. Yeah. It's an unsafe place for Trayvon tonight, even as big as he is. But I don't really know yet if we're having a guest. We also have Wednesday, Jaguars All Access, so Monday, Wednesday this week, and it's on Fox 30 tonight. We'll be right back. You can also catch it on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoldCityAC.com. And they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jax team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580. It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield. Welcome to Everbank Stadium. We call the stadium the bank. Here inside the Jaguars locker room, this is called the vault. The Vault is a special place on game days. You can feel the energy and excitement as the Jaguars get ready to take the field. And Everbank has made a way for Jaguars fans to be a part of the action. Each home game, Everbank will select a winner and a guest to be a part of the Shadows. Be there up close and personal when the Jaguars leave the Vault to take the field. Not only that, the Vault Lounge provides a VIP pregame tailgate experience. High-end food, beverages, music, and more. Want a chance to be part of a VIP experience at a Jaguars game? Enter today at everbank.com/shadows, and you could find yourself in the shadows with the Jaguars.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There's Press Taylor. Looks like he was calling plays yesterday, at least for a period of time. And again, I'll go back to, I'm trying to lay off the play calling with these guys. I think it's fair game right now, but I'm still like, honestly, I don't want to be the antagonist guy here every week.
There's the glasses, Brent.
But the bottom line is, again, this goes all the way back to Houston. Doug said this in 2022. If things are not going well, we'll change it, And that doesn't mean fire people. It just means I'll take it over or somebody else will take it over. That's what he kind of indicated. And he's not living that up unless he has taken it over. And we're not sure. And the question just seems so, you can't get an answer. It's almost like not worth doing it. Fix the audio already. What happened, Glenn C.? Last time when we had somebody, I don't think anybody else is complaining about this, Glenn C. I don't think. But the last time we had that, you just had to get out of the YouTube and check back in.
Get back into it.
So refresh it. And it fixed it for Zach at least last week. So if that's a problem. I don't know why that's happened. That's kind of a weird deal. But I think everybody else is pretty cool on the audio front. If you got any problems, let us know. We'll try to fix it.
Brett, we're getting some comments.
Yeah, we got a lot of them.
I'll let you. No, I know, but like a lot of with the AM thing, so I'll let you address that.
What? I didn't even see that one. What did this say?
A couple people have mentioned now. What do you make of the Jags cutting Jags AM midstream this morning and deleting it completely? Breaking news coming? ?
No, I think don't read into too much of that. Okay.
Streaming issues.
Well, they might have had streaming issues, but I also think if you're the Jags right now, what is there to say? And again, that's their broadcast.
Sure.
I think at times like this, sometimes the organizations, I don't think the Jags are alone, and I don't know if this happened, will lay low a little bit instead of being in front of a microphone and shouting a message that is untenable. You're just not going through, you're not getting anywhere with it, right? And so maybe they just had technical difficulties. I don't think it's a hint of breaking news. I don't. But it could be. Listen, we are not going to. We're not going to. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Get real, Brent. What do you want me to do?
Brent,
sorry, losers.
Yes, what's this? Please stop pushing, bro. Okay, now I gotta stick up for my dude again because this dude is on the edge of going like full dark mode. All right, like he is so close to marinating himself in hate right now, and I don't want you guys to push him over the edge. All right, because we still need some resemblance of like a guy who's sane. Because I've lost my mind a long time ago. We don't need two guys like that.
Said Brent, please don't go easy on the staff. Now is not the time. You'll lose respect from the community. You cannot justify this any longer. Well, what about going easy? Like everybody asked the right questions yesterday in the news conference. I mean, we were asking about staff questions. We were asking about jobs. I mean, those questions were all there. I mean, again, I caution people like this. The question even last week to Doug, what started, that whole thing was not a difficult question. It was not an antagonizing question. It was not anything to gain a response like it got. That's why Doug handled it so poorly, is because it wasn't that kind of question.
Yeah.
So I didn't ask some great question last week. I didn't ask some pressing question.
Yeah, it wasn't gotcha journalism.
It wasn't. And so, but that really hasn't been the whole case. You can still ask professional questions and trying to get answers that you're looking for. The thing I can't control or we can't control is if you are hearing what you want to hear, right? So you base our questions sometimes off if you heard what you want to hear. You thought probably that was a great question I asked last week because you heard Doug get snippy. right?
Yeah.
That's not it. Like Doug, I think, is now knows the situation. I think he learned from that a little bit, and I think you're going to see Doug be very calm and cool in these news conferences, knowing that this fan base and everybody else is on like a boiling point, and which he should. I mean, he should. He needed to do a better job over this whole year, quite frankly, with some of the podium stuff. What do you got over there, Hammy? You good? You got Doug on these questions actually from yesterday. And again, I thought Doug looked as stressed out as I've seen him yet.
Sure.
Now, he's been emotional in terms of angry or frustrated and other things. But if you really look at Doug, and we know what this looks like around here in Jackson, we've seen it with the Gusses and the Marones and the Coughlins and the Caldwells. And I mean, we've got plenty of examples, the Urbans. And Doug looked that. Doug looked to me defeated. Doug knows how the league works. He looked defeated. He looked like he is out of answers to try to flip this thing around. And he also knows this. The thing that he's been selling, that if we can win just one game, if we can do this, if we can do that, we still got a chance. Because I think they felt like they could win the last 5 or 6 games at the back end if they could find a couple wins just to stay in it. And if they could get to 9-8 or something like that. Well, what yesterday did for Doug, in my opinion, is prove, first of all, you're going to have a losing record. So you really have no hope at the playoffs now, even if you wanted to try to sell that. And then you look the way you did, which means I'm not sure you can beat anybody. Like right now, it's hard to sit here on a Monday and say you can beat anybody. How do you sell that to your team? How do you sell that to yourself? How do you sell that to your staff? How do you sell that to ownership? Like that's a defeated coach, because that was brutal, and he knows it. And here's what he said after the game.
You know what? I can't control that, and listen. I've been around this league a long time. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, obviously. But at the same time, I still have a job to do, and that's to get ready for a good division opponent here in 2 weeks.
So I mean, listen, Doug, again, when he was asked that question a month ago, he was a totally different tone. He gets it. He knows where it's at, and he knows how the league works. He's 3-14 over his last 17 games. And I'll say it again when I said something earlier today, Austin, I don't think they've played a good football game in that stretch. I really don't think they've played a good football game. The Carolina one was a whooping, but come on, it was Carolina. Yeah. I don't know how much we could put into that. The Indianapolis game was good for the most part until you gave up 24 points in the fourth quarter. Like, that doesn't count as a good football game when you're giving up that kind of stuff in the fourth quarter. And then they beat a New England Patriots team that's okay, that was good. But come on, I mean, you've got the Patriots in Carolina. That's what you've got. That's what you're hanging your hat on. They have not played good football for over a year.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
It's a huge problem. Yeah, that's who you are. That's the resume. And I'm very firm on this. It doesn't matter. And this is talking about a head coach here. It doesn't matter, like, okay, well, we were close in this game or like that game. No, like, you are what your record says you are. Okay? This will always be. And I don't care about relationships. I don't care about the intricacies of, okay, well, I know this guy. No, like, at the end of the day, you are based on your wins and losses as a coach. Okay? And it's as simple as that. And I don't got to repeat all the numbers in the past, 17 games, because it's only going to make me more upset. Brent's going to lose his mind as well, because we're getting close. We're teeter-tottering. You know what it is. Okay? So there is no moral victories. There is no, well, this game was close. Well, this game went this way. Well, we have this excuse. No. That's not how it works in the NFL. Too much money, too many resources. It's not how it's supposed to be.
All right, so why now, guys? Why? And I say why now versus, I'm trying to get in Shad's mind, okay? I understand. Yeah. Again, 100% of you would say fire him now. Understood. I tend to agree, and I'll tell you why I think they should make the move now instead of later. I understand why some make it later. Why should Shad, in your opinion, make it now instead of wait until the end of the year, which he obviously has the right to do?
Yeah. So to me, there's 2 reasons why you have to do this right now. Number one, what you saw against the Lions. That could be that's the worst game that I think we've ever watched, right? And to roll out the exact same thing again and expect anything less is the definition of insanity. And I think, once again, not saying the fans matter to you right now, Shad Khan, but if you're trying to set a precedent to the fans of saying, hey, come buy tickets to Houston, then you got to make a change. Because, once again, it's unacceptable. And to allow the same staff, the exact same plan to roll out there again at home goes to show you, like, hey, we'll tolerate that Lions game. That Lions game, yeah, it was bad, but it's okay. Like, that's what we are here. No, it's unacceptable. So that's reason number one. I think reason number two why you do it right now is because, well, it's the bye week, right? So any changes that you make right now, you're going to have enough time to implement those changes, to implement a new coaching style, a new philosophy, whatever the case may be. So it's going to allow your players to adjust a little bit and get their ground and then go from there.
Yeah, Amby, you got anything on this? You got any strong feelings on why right now would make sense more the end of the year? Do you care if it's the end of the year? I mean, again, everybody else wants blood this morning. Understood. But, I mean, does it bother you if it's the end of the year? I mean, do we know where this thing's trending?
Yeah, I think fans, some of it is we see winnable games down the stretch, but we see that under the current leadership, obviously you lose by 46. You know, you want to have at least some confidence that we'll at least win a couple of those down the stretch, but you have none right now. And I'm not saying firing is going to help. Obviously, we've seen what the Jets have done, everything like that. But it does seem like even just to get that bump that we always talk about that most teams normally get of that one or two games that you don't, or that you win that you don't normally win, would be great. Just because, holy cow! I mean, avoiding the number one pick, as weird as that sounds. Because everybody obviously at this stage, you know what I'm saying? Everybody at this stage normally would tank for it.
Yeah.
It would be so bad if we had the number one pick. Just win me 2 or 3 games.
3 times in 5 years, right?
So we can get number 7.
Never been done before.
Or whatever.
Oh, of course not.
Never been done before.
And one little follow-up to that, quick, Brent. You do it because, like, this is what you do. Okay, like, I understand, like, sometimes we make it such a habit of being the Jacksonville Jaguars where we do things differently, right? Like Shad Khan does things differently. If this was any other team right now in the NFL, any other team would have made a change by now. I am 100% confident any other team, name them, would have made a change.
Unless their coach has won a Super Bowl with that team, which is like 3 guys.
Yeah, well, but even like Dallas gets beat like that, you're right. Dallas hasn't made a move. Dallas has been the one team that hasn't made a move that everybody thought would by now made a move, and they're kind of the one that you would think, right?
Yeah.
And so every time you say that, I kind of go like, all right, Dallas does, but Dallas hasn't been beaten like that, I don't think. Dallas has had some ugly first halves and then rallied a little bit.
Yeah.
So they've been close, but I wonder if it looked like that, and Jerry Jones like, all right, we got to do something, right? So
But I'm saying, like, so, like, I understand, like, you know, obviously you're an innovator. Like, you've built your business on being you, and I get that. And more respect to you. You built a bumper company, right, or break up bumpers out of nothing, right? So, like, I get that. But sometimes it helps to act like every other team in the NFL.
Yeah, I do think there's a part of probably Shad that says just because everybody says we should do this doesn't mean we have to do this. But I think this is one of those times where it might be falling in line's okay.
Just do it,
right?
Yeah.
Here's this thing, and I've had a hard time the last couple of days maybe articulating this, so I hope you can understand where I'm coming from. But it has a little bit to do with what Jason just said. And here's what's going to happen. Here's what could happen with the Jags if they don't make a move right now. And there are other reasons to make a move right now. If you're going to maybe make a guy like Baselli part of the organization, why not? Like over the next couple of weeks, if you get rid of Baalke and Pederson right now, you can say, hey, we're restructuring this thing. You can even make it, we're going to put an executive vice president in place. We could get, maybe Baselli is the guy, or maybe you got to go through the process, start that process, because you need to start there before you can hire the GM and the head coach and everything else. So we can't just say unequivocally that Baselli's going to be that guy. But I'm just saying now you can start the process of that. It's not to get ahead on the Ben Johnson sweepstakes. That thing is so overplayed. You don't need to fire anybody right now to do that. What you do is you need to reset your organization. It's bigger than head coach and GM. You'll see that in an article that I think we just put out on actionnewsjacks.com, and we'll share it in just a bit. But it's bigger, which means you have to flush a lot of other things. You have to reset a lot of other things. You've got to really, really reset more than just on the football side of it alone. So this is why I think you do it now on top of that. I think you can see a path that if Trevor Lawrence comes back to play in a couple of weeks, the Jags fresh off the bye week, get a little rest, reset. They don't have all this angst right now. They are playing crappy teams down the stretch. I think they could win some of these games. Now, Friday or Saturday before the Detroit game, I would have said, I think definitely going to win 4 out of 6 of those games. Like, I really felt strong about that. I thought they were going to find it and against bad teams and be able to win. After that Detroit game, I'm not sure they're going to win 4 out of 6, but you could see a way that they would be able to do that. Tennessee twice, the Colts, the Raiders, the Jets, and even Houston. No world beaters there, right? So if you play decent football, you can actually beat them. I can't imagine they're going to play good football because they just haven't. But again, this has a lot to do with Trevor coming back, which he could come back after the bye.
Yeah.
So if that happens, though, now you're like, oh, wait, you win 4 out of 6. And now you start, if you're Shad, you start second guessing a little bit. Like, oh, wait a minute, we won 4 out of 6. They end up 6-11. They went 1-6 in close games. Like, do you start talking to yourself as an owner and saying it feels a lot better in Jacksonville because we won football games again? I'm not telling you it's going to happen.
I know.
I'm just telling you I can see a case where you can make that, right? And you can be like, well, it's way easier to keep things together than like what if we don't like this whole coaching cycle and doing this again? Like, that enters your mind. If you're Shad Khan right now, I don't think you can allow that to enter your mind. I think that's why I would do it right now, because I don't want those Listen, I'm a positive guy. I could sit here around Christmas time if they have won 3 out of 4, and I could probably start doing it. Like, honestly, I know myself. But I think I also know Shad in that respect, where he doesn't want to fire people, that he probably thinks these guys are better than they've performed, and that you could talk yourself into that. Don't put yourself in a position to talk yourself into that. That's why the move needs to be made now to go along with the business side. We've mentioned ticket renewals and other things. You got to get the fan base excited about something. You got to reset the organization. And the earlier you can do that, the better, because it's going to take more time than just hiring a coach in January, him coming in February and March and everything else. This is more than just a head coach and a GM hire. This is a reset. This is a deeper reset. And they've got to understand that. And that has to start sooner than later, in my opinion. So for those reasons, those are the reasons why I would make a move in the next day or two. And I do think you have until tomorrow if you want to think it through a little bit more. Get away from the emotional train, and you could do it even tomorrow. But it does need to be done. I don't think it has anything to do with getting ahead on a Ben Johnson sweepstakes. I don't think it has anything to do with, well, maybe we can, if we do put Mike McCoy in charge, now it gives us more time. The bye week doesn't give you more time. The bye week is a rest time. Nobody does any more work, really, on the bye week. Like, very little.
No,
you can at least get the shock out of your system from that standpoint from the players, and now you reset with a new guy, a guy that they like, in Mike McCoy, right, or anybody on that staff. But that's not why you do it. I think you do it because you don't want to be talked into, oh, we were so close. No, don't get talked into that. You've beaten nobody. You've beaten nobody since last November when you beat the Houston Texans in Houston on a doinked field goal. You have beaten nobody since then. This is not a team that should be measured by beating the Carolina Panthers, the New England Patriots, and the Indianapolis Colts. You are a team that should be measured as the best football team that you've assembled on beating teams like the Eagles and the Packers and the Texans and maybe even the Detroit Lions, and not getting blown out 52-6. Do not let that infiltrate your mind that it's okay to beat the Colts and the Titans a couple of times and the Jets and the Raiders. That ain't it. That's a different league. Like, all those teams would be relegated if this was the EPL.
Yeah. But then, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly, which makes me wonder, why aren't we even... I don't know.
What's taking so long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly.
Yeah.
Brent, when you lose one possession games, right? Everybody knows that one possession games, 1 or 2 of those can be a player, a play, a call, or whatever. But 6 of them is never on a player. It's always on the coach. Right? Everybody understands that, right? Isn't that common knowledge? If it's a trend, it is a theme where you cannot win one possession games, that comes down to your coaching.
Yeah, and what I haven't done this, it'd be interesting to go back and look and see, even in 22, where they actually turned a lot around, right? I do think Doug and the staff deserves credit for what they did in 22 coming out of